Hello everyone. Tonight we are going to make fajitas. We have two beef sirloin, am I saying this right? Beef sirloin tip steaks here. I had my husband pull out some thin cuts of beef and he pulled these out. I think we're gonna have quite a bit of leftovers, but that's okay, it'll be delicious. And then I have some red onions that we got in our last Azure haul, and I have some frozen organic bell peppers that are in strips, and we're gonna try to make the fajitas with those. They're actually why I bought those peppers, because I wanted to be able to have fajitas all summer long, regardless of whether or not our pepper plants were producing, because it's really a short window when they are producing. And organic bell peppers in the store are just so expensive. So we're gonna try it with the beef sirloin tip steak, the red onions, and the frozen bell peppers. First things first, I am gonna get these steaks cut open and I'm gonna season them with a fajita seasoning. Our fajita seasoning that we're using tonight is one that we make at home. I'll link the recipe down below. Just a mix of chili spice type things. I guess it's been a while since we've used our fajita seasoning. We usually go through these types of seasonings pretty quick, but I guess it hasn't been fajita season for a while. I'm gonna leave this seasoning out in case my husband needs to use any more. He is going to be doing the grilling, which is such a blessing tonight. Here are the red onions. I think I'm gonna go with 3 because they're pretty small and we have a lot of meat here. So I want a good ratio of veggies to meat. Our dog is so worked up. The neighbor kids are outside playing with our kids and she just wants to be out there. That onion isn't actually looking too great. Break off that bad part. I've actually never bought the red onions from Azure before, so I'm not sure how good their shelf life is. I think they are more tender than the regular yellow onions we get, so I'll have to keep that in mind. Normally I don't store them in the fridge, I just store them in the hall closet, because we don't have much pantry space up here, but that might have to change, especially with summer just around the corner. Trying to think about what toppings to put on this tonight. I could easily make a crema with just some sour cream. We've got lime juice and sour cream in the fridge. Of course we have cheese. We have cheddar, we have feta. The feta might be nice, although my husband does not like feta. So he might just go for the cheddar. We also have an abundant cilantro harvest outside, so we can top it with cilantro for sure. Lastly, I have grabbed a bag of peppers, and I'm just gonna leave these here, and I'm gonna call my husband and ask him to grill. Our plan for these, since we only have really large burrito-sized tortillas, is to turn them into burritos rather than traditional fajitas. Stop. At the last minute, my husband decided to put some tater tots in the oven and we made sort of a California fajita burrito thing. Hey everyone, it's the second night of our fajita inspired meal. Tonight I am going to make some chipotle bowls, and the only thing I really need to cook for this is some cilantro lime rice. Now there are a lot of really cool recipes for this online. I'm gonna try to make one that is as close to a chipotle copycat as possible. I'll link it below. And we'll see how it goes. There were some that had, what am I trying to say? There were some that had red chili flakes in it, and garlic, and all kinds of yummy things. And maybe someday I will try a recipe like that, but tonight we are just gonna try Chipotle style. Here I have some cilantro that we picked out of the garden. The recipe calls for about 3 tablespoons. I don't think I'm quite there yet. our cilantro keeps trying to bolt. So let's see, does it still taste good? Yeah, that's okay. I've heard that the taste changes once it bolts. I'm not quite sure. Let's see if it'll focus. You can see it's got really fine leaves. I'm not sure if this is just the cilantro trying to grow more cilantro or if it's trying to shoot up and bolt, because it is shooting way up. Anyway, the cilantro that we froze in the freezer has been really great in meals, so no complaints there. But we do have a lot more cilantro out there already, and considering that this is sort of more of a visually appealing sort of side, the cilantro lime rice, I do want to use some fresh cilantro in there because once it's frozen, it does take on a darker, mushier look, even though it tastes great. Into this pot, I'm gonna do 1 cup of rinsed rice. Then it calls for a teaspoon of oil. I'm not gonna be too worried about measuring this because you add more oil later, so it's not really, you're not at a huge risk of overdoing it on this step. Once 1 teaspoon of salt. And lastly, 1 cup of water. The way I cook rice, I generally bring it to a simmer, and once it's simmering, I lower it to low heat. I put a lid on and I cook it for about 10 minutes. Wow, I don't know where my head is at. I normally do 1 part rice, 2 parts water. I only put 1 cup of water in here for some reason. So now we have 2. Now we're good to go. So the rice is now on the stage where it has a lid, and I'm gonna heat up some black beans. These were from a taco meal sort of thing we did the other night. And then I'm gonna add an extra can. We're just gonna have perpetual leftover beans. I didn't think what we had left over was enough, but surely this will be too much. So that's how it goes. Then to this pan back here, I'm gonna saute up a lot of corn. I'm gonna use half of it to make sort of a corn salsa with some red onion. And then I'm gonna leave the rest of it plain for our kids, just in case they aren't feeling all of this tonight. We are switching from having our corn in the freezer to having corn on the shelf. And I love the corn on the shelf so much more, but I'm forcing myself to use this up first. We're almost there. This rice is definitely done cooking, so I am gonna add a couple more teaspoons of oil. Then I want the juice of 1 lime. I'm not exactly sure how much that is, but I'm gonna do a good splash. And then I'm gonna add in this cilantro. Hey, baby. I'm gonna stir this all up. I'm gonna get this out of the way so I can move it off the heat. Beautiful. In this bowl, I pulled some of the corn out and mixed it with some red onion. Here's our final setup. We've got the black beans, the cilantro lime rice, and then over here we have all of our toppings. Those are the leftover fajita veggies from last night. And then we have the corn and red onion salsa. You can make this a bit fancier, but I didn't feel like we needed to tonight. Then I have some leftover cherry tomatoes that we're gonna add on top. Back here is a coleslaw mix that we had the other night with some tacos, and we had, it's wild in here. We had a jalapeno brine on those. And then here we have our fajita that is getting sliced up, and that will go in our bowl. Thanks, hon. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all for joining. I hope you all have a great week. Bye.